Jelly Roll and McAfee steal Mania 42. SmackDown's highs and lows. WrestleMania match in danger. Bad news for Paul Heyman. John Cena's return backlash. Vince McMahon rant resurfaces. Bayley and Alexis awkward moment. Del Rio absence explained. The Rock orders Cody kept away. So if you're enjoying this kind of content, why not hit subscribe and drop a like? Now let's get into everything, starting with a breakdown of SmackDown's strongest and weakest moments. SmackDown this week felt less like an exciting weekly show and more like a long endurance test for fans. Did it feel that way to you too, or was it just one of those off nights? While there were a couple of bright spots, much of the show struggled to maintain momentum across its 3-hour runtime. Still, a few moments stood out in a positive way, so let's begin there. First up, a fresh arrival makes an impact on SmackDown. Royce Keys finally made his long-awaited debut after being absent from television for over 2 months since his Royal Rumble appearance. Despite impressing fans during that match, he had been missing from weekly programming, leaving many wondering where he had gone. His return in his hometown brought a strong reaction as he dominated Berto in convincing fashion. Could this be the start of a major push for him, especially with the Andre the Giant Battle Royal just around the corner? It certainly feels like WWE is positioning him as a serious contender. Next, a unique personality steps into the ring for the first time. Danhausen, who has been a regular presence since debuting earlier this year, finally competed in his first official WWE match. His ongoing feud with Kit Wilson and The Miz has leaned heavily into his comedic and supernatural gimmick, with backstage curses playing a big role in the storyline. The match itself delivered exactly what you'd expect, including a bizarre finish involving pyro mishaps and yet another curse affecting Wilson. While entertaining, do you think his finisher needs to be more believable to match WWE's in-ring standards? Still, the segment added some much-needed variety to the show. Moving on, tension builds within a dominant faction. The ongoing story involving Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and Tama Tonga continues to develop intriguing layers. A backstage segment hinted that Tonga may have been responsible for taking Fatu out months ago, adding a sense of betrayal to the narrative. Later, Tonga faced Fatu in singles competition but fell short, raising questions about his future within the group. Could a split be on the horizon, or is this just the beginning of a deeper storyline? There's also the possibility of new alliances forming, especially with Royce Keys now in the mix. It'll be interesting to see where this leads after WrestleMania. Now shifting gears, let's talk about where things didn't quite work. One major issue was the pacing of key segments. Several promos dragged on far longer than necessary, eating up valuable time that could have been used elsewhere. Pat McAfee's extended rant stood out in particular, as he went on for nearly 10 minutes before Cody Rhodes even entered the scene. Rhodes responded with his own lengthy speech, and the segment kept stretching with interruptions and repeated back-and-forth exchanges. Did it feel like the segment overstayed its welcome for you? With so much talent on the roster, it's hard not to wonder why more time wasn't given to other performers. Another drawback was the absence of several notable stars. Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green, and Aleister Black were all missing from the show, despite having ongoing relevance in recent weeks. Stratton, in particular, is coming off a major WrestleMania moment, yet she had no presence here. Isn't it strange how someone can go from champion to completely absent so quickly? Chelsea Green has consistently been a highlight, even when dealing with injuries, so her absence was also noticeable. With 3 hours to fill, there really isn't much excuse for leaving out such engaging personalities. Then there's the ongoing Pat McAfee storyline, which continues to divide opinion. His promo this week leaned heavily into a self-aware, over-the-top heel persona, but it didn't quite land as intended. He criticized fans, took shots at other wrestlers, and even tried to position himself as someone influencing ticket prices for WrestleMania. Do you think this character direction is working, or does it feel forced? The attempt to blend humor, arrogance, and commentary didn't fully connect, leaving the segment feeling disjointed. Finally, the show once again ended on a flat note. The main event saw Jade Cargill defeat Io Sky cleanly, but the post-match angle failed to create excitement. Rhea Ripley's run-in lacked impact, and the closing moments didn't leave fans with a strong reason to tune in next week. Would a more dramatic finish, like McIntyre's attack earlier in the night, have worked better as the closing visual? It certainly felt like a missed opportunity. Now let's move on to some major WrestleMania developments. There's growing uncertainty surrounding a potential match between Io Sky and Asuka. While reports suggest the match has been discussed internally, it hasn't been officially confirmed, and time is running out before the big event. Do you think WWE should add it to the card or save it for a later show like Backlash? Complicating matters further is Nikki Bella's injury, which could force changes to the women's tag title match. If she isn't cleared to compete, WWE may have to bring in a replacement team, potentially altering the entire dynamic of the division heading into WrestleMania. Speaking of WrestleMania, there's an unusual situation involving Paul Heyman. For the first time in years, he may not be part of a main event match. Despite being associated with major stars like Brock Lesnar and others on the card, both of their matches are scheduled to open their respective nights. Could this break his long-standing streak of main event appearances? There's still a chance he could get involved in another match, especially given his recent interactions with Gunther and Seth Rollins. Do you think WWE has a surprise planned for him? Meanwhile, John Cena's return as WrestleMania host has sparked mixed reactions. While some fans are excited to see him back, others feel the timing is off, especially since he just completed his farewell run. Critics argue that bringing him back so soon reduces the impact of his retirement. Do you agree, or are you happy to see him involved regardless of the role? There's also concern that WWE is relying too heavily on celebrity appearances, which may not resonate with all fans. Adding to the drama, a former star recently criticized Vince McMahon over past creative decisions. Reports suggest that certain matches were canceled under his influence, leaving talent frustrated behind the scenes. This has reignited conversations about his role during that period and how it affected storylines. Do you think those decisions had a lasting impact on WWE's direction? In the ring, an unexpected wardrobe issue between Bayley and Alexa Bliss briefly halted their match. The situation could have been far more embarrassing, but Bayley's quick thinking kept things under control. Moments like this highlight the unpredictability of live wrestling, don't you think? Despite the interruption, the match continued, with Bliss eventually securing the win thanks to a distraction from Charlotte Flair. Now on to one of the more controversial topics, the situation involving Alberto Del Rio. New reports suggest that his strained relationship with WWE may have stemmed from a personal incident involving Stephanie McMahon. Allegedly, remarks he made in the past created tension that ultimately closed the door for any potential return. Do you think one incident should have such long-term consequences, or is it understandable given the circumstances? Combined with his recent legal issues, it seems increasingly unlikely that he'll ever step back into a WWE ring. Finally, backstage politics come into play as The Rock reportedly instructed Nick Aldis to keep Cody Rhodes away from Pat McAfee. This adds another layer to the already complex dynamics between top stars. Could this lead to a bigger storyline down the line, or is it just a temporary measure to control ongoing tensions? There's clearly a lot happening behind the scenes as WWE builds towards WrestleMania 42. With so many moving parts, surprises feel almost guaranteed. What are you most looking forward to as the event gets closer?